Hello, so here I am back again. So you might notice things look a little different. StreamYard's taking forever to upload that other video, so I decided to just record it and then I'll upload it afterwards. So today's a full moon, right? And I had a very I won't call it interesting, but I had this moment of reflection today. Now, I know I haven't been around. I have not been making content. You haven't seen me on anyone's channels. And it's been like 2 years, really, which is kind of scary, but there is a reason behind it all and a lesson and all the things, right? So this is going to be a little bit of a very kind of personal type of video. There will be detail, like at some point I will make a video about what has happened, but it's not time. I'm not through it all yet, but today I got some really good clarity and I just felt like I should share it. So I do apologize because I'm going to be reading off of what I typed because it was very precise what came to me. So, and you know me, I can't read my handwriting. So I apologize. You're going to see me like reading off my little papers here. I'm not fancy and got to stand and all the things, but it's all right. I'm still just getting back into all this stuff, right? But anyways, today it's like Thursday, July 10th, 2025, and these are reflections for the full moon. And part of the reason why I'm doing this too is it's kind of for me, so I don't forget. I'm not like doing it to like put all my stuff out into the universe, into social media, but it's a way for me to remember because when I go back and watch old videos of mine, I always find it interesting to see where I was and where I am at and all that. So I figured this was a good time to maybe start documenting like what I've been going through. I can always make these private too. So today, unfortunately, a very tragic accident happened in the town that I live in. Last weekend, there was a car accident that had four teenage 18-year-olds in them, and it wasn't a drunk driving accident, but there was an elderly man who had dementia who woke up scared, confused, and all that, and got into his car and was driving the wrong way down the highway and hit this car with these four teenagers in it, and one of the boys did not make it. And he was loved. I don't know the child myself, but my youngest son did. He's a couple years older than him, but being an athlete, they condition and all that stuff together, and he was a hockey player. And the football, my son plays for the high school football team, and of course the high school team went to pay their respects and show support. And when I tell you standing room only, we were at the biggest church where I live, and I stood outside. I ended up standing outside because I felt like I was there to support my son who had never been to a funeral before in his life, and other teammates. But where I did not know this child personally, I stood outside once it got to that point where the standing room was almost out the doors. I went and stood at the corner of the church. And I have to say, it was pouring buckets today. I was afraid it was going to be a heat wave like we've had, but instead it was pouring buckets. And even though they said it was going to be 60s, 70s, let me tell you, I was freezing my ass off. But so that's where this all happened. So just to kind of give you the setting of where I was I wasn't at a happy event. It was a very sad, but also amazing to see like the rival. So this kid played hockey. The rival teams came from surrounding towns to pay their respect. It was so moving to see these young people come together, and it was so emotional. I'm not going to cry. I'm not crying on YouTube. But anyways, so before it got that crowded, I was standing. They had, there was like three doorways. I was standing on the corner of one of the smaller ones. and I was just looking outside. I wasn't actually standing outside at this point. But we were there early, thank God. So I was just standing there. And as I looked out, this is when this all kind of came to me. And here we go. So I already told you about why I was there. So, and there I was so I'm in a Catholic church. And it was one of the most ironic places for me to be in a house of worship, in a place that gave me so much anxiety, that as I stood in the doorway looking out at the church I was baptized in, that I lived around the corner from at one point when I bought my first house, and found myself here right now reflecting in this house of worship that I've had. Church gave me anxiety as a child. I grew up with a very devout Catholic grandmother, and there was nothing happened to me. Something about going to church, I don't like it. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like religion or anything like that. I do believe in God and all that. Just there's something about mass. It just fills me with such anxiety. But, it's all about like kind of showing your kids sometimes you have to be a little uncomfortable to do the right thing. So I was fine to go. But afterwards I found it so ironic that in this place that gave me anxiety, I got clarity I've been searching for. So I was standing and I was quiet, just looking out. There is a field and it's on like a small dead end street. So it's kind of a quiet street. And as much as I don't love churches, especially because I always feel they have this cold feeling vibe to them, I felt such a sense of calm, even though I was there for such a sad reason. I just had this moment of quietness in my head, which I don't get that often or allow myself to just really sit and look and reflect. Sorry, I'm so blind. And when I bought my first house, thinking about when I bought my first house, how I was a young parent, that's where I had my second child. And I decided to think about what all that was like. And as a parent, you try your best, right? Hopefully you raise your children to, learn how to do the right thing, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, nobody likes a funeral. No one's like, yay, I'm going to a funeral. But it's not about you. It's okay to be uncomfortable, to be there to show love and support for someone else. I do think that's important, to do the right thing for people that you love. You know, to have morals, to have integrity in their lives. And hopefully, you hope that your kids learn these things by watching you, walking that walk and all those things. Like, you hope that you raise your kids to be better than you were. I know I hope to raise my kids better than I was when I was younger. And it led me to really think about myself today at 50. Yes, I turned 50 in December, and where I am. And in 2022, I was really sick, as a lot of people know, and it could have very easily been me in a casket in the church that day, and people coming to say goodbye to me. But I was very fortunate, and I was able, I lived to tell the tale. I recently watched a video of myself that I did when that year where I was sick was over. And in the video, I'm talking about how grateful I was for the second chance at life. And I wanted to live my life the best way I can. And remember, life is short. And do all the things I love. And to have better work-life balance. And just all those things, right? And then to listen to that 2 years later, I have lost so much of who I was, who I used to be in these last 2 years. And then I realized, since, I was sick in 2022, 2023 is when I started to really have more of a social media presence and other things in my life. And then it was April of that year, things fell apart, and here I am today. And gotta put it where I can see it. And what do I believe in? And what is in my soul and my beliefs? And I do believe in a higher power. I believe that we have a purpose. I believe I'm a nice person. I know I'm a little much. I get that. You know, but you either love me or hate me, and I'm okay with that. Like it took me a long time to embrace who I was, because I'm loud, I'm a lot, I'm kind of all over the place, and that has been just wiped. Like I am like a shell of who I used to be. And it's I want that crazy person back. Good, bad, and indifferent, right? Um, all the things that have happened, have made me question so much. And I'm just not living my life. I am just existing. I feel nothing but pain, if I feel anything at all. I just live every day and I'm not present. I'm just going through the motions, busy at work. It's so hard. Everything's just so hard. I don't have time. My anxiety, I've gained so much weight. No clothes fit me. Again, remember, this is like a journal. This is what's coming through to me. Every reason in the world, and not facing the real reason and the root of why I'm in this state mentally. I have been doing these mental gymnastics to justify or trying to rationalize an unrational situation, or what put me into that. And this situation is doing nothing but cause me hurt, pain, and trauma that I'm now going to have to work and heal from. And I go back to, what do I believe? I believe I deserve better. And there's a saying that, it's always harder to go and easier to stay. And I get that. I really do. But if you don't do the hard things, you don't get the joys afterwards and the lessons and all that stuff. And I think I'm just tired of being a shell of the person I used to be. That I don't recognize when I look in the mirror or I see myself. I just don't even know who this woman is that I'm looking at anymore. I feel like I've aged 80 years in 2 years. And I'm just, I feel like, we all have this light inside of us. And right now, all I got left is this ember that is fighting to stay lit. And this is not who I want to be. And with the full moon, which is always like the end of a cycle, this is where I came to this place, this house of worship, and where I got clarity. And as I'm standing in the rain now, because now I had moved outside, I'm in the pouring rain, I want to be here with the kids. And just as an FYI, I was voice talking this and then transcribed it and just copied and pasted and read it quickly. And now I can see what things don't make sense. Sorry. I'm here to support the kids, which I was so happy to, if I could just be there as support to tell someone where the bathroom was, take an umbrella. I was just happy that I could do that my job allows me, that flexibility, just all that, like grateful that I could do these small little things, right? Even for a very tragic situation. And then I realized, I don't put my need, I'm always that person that I don't put my needs before others. I tend to be that overgiver. But in the situation that I'm in now, it's time for me to put me first in my needs and what do I need. And I'm not even saying this to say like I need to be selfish. It's not about being selfish, but it's about being kind to yourself and doing what you need. And sometimes you have to make decisions that are for you, and you can't worry about how this one or that one's going to feel because you're doing what's best for you. That's what I really, in my head, I'm like, oh, you sound selfish. But I'm like, no, I'm really not. So it's kind of like when I'm thinking these through, that other voice that wants to tell me I'm wrong, I was like, no, it's not being selfish. It's okay to want to take care of you and your own needs. I need to just do what's best for me and not worry, because that same courtesy has not always been extended to me in this situation, let's just say. All these years. And why should I keep giving my kindness and time and love and all that away? And I'm not trying to be vindictive, but I'm giving away all this to this thing, and I'm giving them all the love and energy that I have, what little I have, and it's just being taken advantage of. And I think it's just, I'm done now. It's just time, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna so suck. There's so many fucking horrible emotions that are gonna come with all this. But if it means in the end I'm living my best life, then I know it's all gonna be worth it, right? All the pain, all the things. And of course now my son's father had showed up, Cameron's dad had shown up. And this is where I know I'm being a little petty when I say this, but it's fine. It's like, I voiced it, transcribed it, and I'm sharing it, and just not judging it. It's just what I felt at the moment. And a petty part of me was like, of course you showed up. You can't miss a chance to show how much you care. And don't get me wrong, he is an amazing father. I'm not saying that he's not a good dad. He really is. But when it comes to us, it's more complicated. I was standing at the back of the church so I wouldn't disturb the services, obviously, but still close enough in case my son or someone needed me. And I'd been standing out in the pouring rain for like 45 minutes, when I'm recording this part, because I kind of was going in and out just as things came to me. I was recording. And luckily I did have an umbrella, but I was freezing by this point. My shoes are soaked. I am drenched. Luckily my hair was up, so I wasn't worried about my hair, but I am freezing by this point. And his father had come around the corner, and I said, are you going to the church? He said, yes. And I said, can I have your jacket? And he said, no. Something about the dress shirt that he had on underneath it and it being pink, and just said no and walked away. And I didn't really understand why the color of his shirt or any of that mattered, but I was like, okay, I swear at that moment the universe was showing me a sign and showing me how selfish he can be. And something in this behavior now, in hindsight, right? In the past, I either didn't see it or chose to not see it, right? And now the services had ended, and we're all standing in the front, and the kids had done the guard, and so that the family could come out, and there was so many people there. It was going to take a while for everyone to get out of the church. Now it's pouring out, and I ended up having to close my umbrella because there was so many people. It's like, and I'm 5 feet nothing. I'm poking people, right? So now I'm standing with no umbrella, and it is now, it had like, the rain was was heavy, then it was light, and now it's torrentially downpouring, of course. And I am freezing, and like, I'm standing there shivering, right? And then I kid you not, it was probably, it was about, I didn't know at the time that it was just about done, but about 5 minutes before we left, all of a sudden I feel him put his jacket over my shoulders. And of course, like, I thanked him, and I was so grateful. But, this situation, it describes what communicating with him has always been like. It's like, no matter how much I say about a situation, it's hard, or it's challenging, or it's this, that it's that. It's almost like he never believed me until he actually witnessed it himself. And, that, was true about working from home, and when I had to commute, and I can go on and on with all kinds of examples, but I felt like it was the universe showing me in a very easy, very not like a harsh way, but just, here I am freezing, right? Ask for his jacket, he tells me no. And we were separated a lot. He was standing in the front, I was in the corner. And when I came out and after he watched me be freezing and shivering, then he gave me his jacket. And I thanked him and I was grateful for it. And then, it ended and I, gave him his jacket back and got into my car. So that's my reflection. I mean, it, might make sense, it might not. It's, in the moment, it meant a lot. And I guess because some of it I wasn't recording, it was just what I was feeling. I remember standing in the doorway and just looking out and just having these thoughts. And there was a part of me that just kept saying, how ironic, in the place that gives you so much anxiety is where you're getting clarity. But that's pretty much it. If you stuck around through this whole thing, that good for you. That's thank you so much. I appreciate you. But I'm gonna upload the full moon video first, and you get a little peek into what reflection during this time was for me. And with that, here's hoping these videos upload, and much peace and love to everyone.